Coming up, vaccine good news and more vaccine good news, plus progress for LGBTQ plus, and of course, more renewable good news, because of course. Welcome to Tone Nileation. I am Nile Segay. I kind of just flubbed my own podcast name. That's fine. AKA Optimist Prime. Welcome to the treehouse. Apparently, this one's going to be a choppy one. I'll get into it. I will get into the groove. How are you? I hope you're doing well. I hope your week is going well. I hope you're living your best fucking life. Um, yeah, I hope that. I hope that for you. I'm having a grand old time. I am still working on the rebrand, I don't know. Um, yeah. And eventually I will figure out guests, but right now I'm bundling a bunch of regular episodes until I figure out the logistics because it's a bit messy. But yes, welcome to the podcast that brings you the better stories you should be getting but aren't. That's part of the rebrand. What can I tell you guys? A little thing that I want to slip in here. A few of you have sent me some good news stories, and I am very, I'm as organized as I can be. So like every time I'm like prepping an episode and then I get to the point where I'm going to record the episode, I was like, fuck, I forgot that story that such and such sent me. I will get to it. I promise. But I mean, that's a good sign. That's a sign of good things that, I have too much content. That's not, not bad for a good news podcast. Um, and then, speaking of good news, let's get to it, shall we? Here for you now, our top 8 good news stories from our home office in Finger, Manitoba. Um, I don't live in Finger, Manitoba. That's just a thing. I explained it to a friend of mine this week. That's just a thing I say. I got it from David Letterman when he used to do his top 10 lists. He would say like Lincoln, Nebraska, or some obscure where they clearly did not have a home office, or maybe they did. I don't know. But here we go. Number 8. Since 2000, according to UNICEF, 95 million children have successfully been lifted out of extreme poverty, which is a huge global progress in child welfare. Pardon me. They are benefiting substantially from sustained global efforts to combat poverty. Millions of children are now more likely to have access to fundamental things like nutrition, healthcare, education. That's a lot. 95 million. There are the progress indicates that the targeted policies and investments are effective. They are working, which is a very exciting thing. The reduction in extreme child poverty is a crucial step to achieving the Sustainable Development Goal (SDG 1), ending poverty in all its forms everywhere. I think this is, you know where I'm going with this, probably. I think this is the beginning of an amazing positive feedback loop. Yes, again, more people, first of all, more people surviving, which just on general principle, that's a put your feet up win. That is right there. 95 million people, a lot of them getting out of extreme poverty means a lot of them are not going to die, which is fucking amazing. That's like just savor that. Um, and like really savor that because we have problems with big numbers, right? I say 95 million, and there's a part of you that like assigns a weight to that as in like, "Ooh, that's good." But you couldn't meet 95 million people in your lifetime if you made it your full-time job. That's how many people have been lifted out of extreme poverty in the past 20 years. That's how many children were lifted. So that's great. But again, more people accessing education and improving their lives means more nerds. And again, I don't want to make it all about us, but more nerds who will contribute to the good of the species and come up with cool shit. Believe this. Believe, like all of the stories that I'm about to tell you about, some fucking nerd was able to pull it off because they were not in extreme poverty. And every population has a percentage of nerds, and the more nerds we have, the better it is. Um, like when you think about it, this is really exciting because like the next big inventor, the next the next person who's going to come up with the thing that no one saw coming that like brings a big sea change to humanity that makes you want to sit down and be like, Jesus, this is a lot of progress. They're out there right now. They are out there somewhere right now, fucking hating class, getting detention, you know, failing grade 6. No, wait, that was my experience. They're probably having a completely different experience. They're probably nerding out pretty hard. They're probably like, the teacher's like, are you autistic? Maybe, maybe, but let him cook. Let that kid cook. Number 7, Capo Verde, Mauritius, and Seychelles have become the first sub-Saharan African countries to eliminate both measles and rubella. The 3 nations have successfully interrupted endemic transmission for more than 36 months. I was about to say, which is X number of years, but my brain won't let me do it. 3 years? I think it's 3 years? It's 3 years. Let's call it 3 years. Yeah, it's 3 years. And this shows that when countries prioritize prevention and make vaccines access a priority, that's significant health milestones can happen. Capo Verde has demonstrated a strong political commitment by fully funding its immunization program since 1998, maintaining high coverage for 2 decades, and has no confirmed measles cases since 1999. This is estimated to have prevented 21 million deaths from measles, representing a 79% reduction in annual deaths. Again, 21 million. You could not meet 21 million in your lifetime. That's how many people were saved. That's a lot of fucking people. It's just fabulous. 5 countries, Botswana, Cabo Verde, Mauritius, Seychelles, and Rwanda. That's where some of my genes are from, y'all. Reached the crucial 95% coverage benchmark needed to interrupt transmission. The success is supported by the Measles and Rubella Partnership, a coordinated global effort working to achieve a world entirely free of these diseases. I think I've said this before, but it's got to be hard for people working in those nations watching our weirdos yelling about how they won't get vaccinated. Like looking at our vaccines the same way that I sometimes look at my girlfriend's plate when we're out for dinner. Like, are you done? Are you not gonna, are you gonna eat that? Are you gonna use that vaccine? Can I have it? Number 6, speaking of vaccination, Gavi has successfully met its ambitious target of reaching 86 million girls with the human papilloma virus. Fuck, I knew how to pronounce it, and then I saw the word and I shanked it. It's fine. Vaccine, accomplishing the goal ahead of schedule. Originally, this was set for the end of 2025, and they're done. So enjoy December, Gabby. Just hang out. Maybe fucking roll up a blunt, and then smoke it. So this is a 7-fold increase in the number of protected girls in vulnerable countries. That goes from 13 million to 86 million, which was their target. As I mentioned earlier, huge expansion is estimated to save 1 million lives. And realize 2.3 billion in economic benefits. That's like, sure, that's fine. But again, I think the lives, again, that's probably the most important part. The HPV vaccine is the first vaccine against cancer and protects against the leading cause of cervical cancer, which disproportionately affects women in lower income countries. Due to this coordinated effort, coverage in Africa has already risen to 44%, surpassing coverage rates in Europe. So yeah, let's let that sit. By end of year, the vaccine will be available in countries that account for 89% of all cervical cancer cases globally, fundamentally changing the future health outlook for millions of girls. This success, supported by Gavi's new investment and unprecedented commitment from national governments, is a major step toward the ultimate goal of eliminating cervical cancer altogether. Yeah. What are they going to do for the rest of the month? You know that these fucking nerds are moving on to the next thing. You know, they're like, okay, let's fix something else, which is great, don't get me wrong, that is great for us. But like, take a week off, guys. It's weird that I feel uncomfortable pointing out the fact that governments can and do good things. Like, that's a hot take now, right? What happened? What happened? I'm not saying governments are perfect, but a lot of governments still do good things. I feel like it was X-Files that ruined governments for us. Maybe just me. Conspiracy theories. All right, number 5. Once again, I think these two previously mentioned, the usual suspects. Gavi and UNICEF secured a significant price reduction for the new R21 malaria vaccine. They will pay 25% less per dose for something called the Serum Institute of India. Making this life prevention intervention more accessible. This price reduction is estimated it'll save $90 million for Gavi and mean 30 million more doses. Those are huge wins. So that means up to 7 million more children will be vaccinated against malaria over the next 5 years. Malaria is a disease that still claims 500,000 lives annually, primarily amongst children under 5 in sub-Saharan Africa. So get ready for that number to drop. An effort is also underway to halve the price of other malaria vaccines made by JSK when Bharat Biotech takes over its production in 2028, signaling a trend toward vaccine affordability. I am going to transfer all of my prescriptions to India. I mean, you know what I mean? It's starting to seem. What do you think is going to happen? There will be a point, especially if you're American. If you're an American, I would crunch the numbers on this because I am not unsure that it is not a better plan to simply book a flight to Mumbai in the off season. So just go over there, have a nice vacation, enjoy some food, meet some spices, and then just get all of your prescriptions filled for the year, come home, still have enough money for food, maybe rent. Wouldn't that be nice? Treat yourself. I've never been, but I've heard good things. India's lovely. Oh, Mangalore is a city apparently that's very nice, and it's very nice. Like, I bring that up because I'm not big on heat, but apparently Mangalore. If I'm wrong, please let me know. Springtime all the time. Number 4, the formal outcome of COP30 was weak, but there was plenty of progress. Brazil's new Tropical Forest Forever Fund launched with $6.6 billion raised. A global pledge of $1.8 billion was made to secure land rights for indigenous people, local communities, and Afro-descendant groups. I'm not included in this, I checked. $1.4 billion was committed for smallholder climate adaptation in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. Yeah, okay, I'll keep going before we come back to that. Forest countries, led by Colombia, committed to maintaining Amazon territories free from oil and mining activity. COP30 formally recognized indigenous land rights and traditional knowledge in its core Mutirao decision. I love saying stuff in Portuguese. Strengthening indigenous standing in climate governance. There's at least one Portuguese listener right now who's like, you've never said anything in Portuguese. Apologies. Oh, I wish I knew how to say sorry in Portuguese. I should look that up because it's going to be a recurring theme. This institutional recognition at the highest UN level is a profound, lasting shift, ensuring indigenous voices have a mandated role in future negotiations. This is important for many reasons. One, it's important to focus on the positive aspects. A lot of people were shitting on COP30, and it's like, yeah, okay, fair enough, but like, what about the stuff that isn't shitty? You know, it's only focusing on the bad stuff. Not only is it not helpful, but it's kind of low-key irrational. I've been thinking about this and how we get upset when things aren't perfect, right? Like when we're like, oh, COP30, COP30 only did this, only did that. I think I'm going to go ahead and blame movies. I think movies are the problem because we grew up, we watch movies, And it's always like the solutions are always one moment, right? The Avengers kill Thanos and everything goes back to normal and we're fine, right? If Marvel wanted to make a realistic movie, the Avengers would be negotiating with Thanos over years. They'd have to ignore some stuff that really makes them uncomfortable. People will be yelling at them. They'd have to compromise until Thanos would realize, all right, fuck, I'm wrong. And, that's how they would fix it. Or he could just use his fucking superpowered glove to teach everybody how to recycle. God, I hated that movie. It was so dumb. It was so dumb. Anyways, you see my point, right? We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. It's not all going to be instant. At least go that other story. How long did it took them 20 years to get rid of measles? Probably more. Probably more. Number 3. The Court of Justice of the European Union ruled that EU nations must mutually recognize same-sex marriage concluded in any other member state. Why is this important? Because this ruling affirmed that any refusal is contrary to EU law, which was an issue in Poland. The Polish associations anticipate a surge of an estimated 30,000 to 40,000 couples who married abroad will now be able to successfully register their marriages in Poland. The ruling was welcomed by Polish education minister as an important victory for the respective rights and dignity, and probably welcomed by like one down low conservative with just dread, like, fuck, I'm gonna have to marry him now. The court's action provides a vital pathway for same-sex couples to secure rights and recognition in countries like Poland, which are among the last remaining EU member states without national same-sex marriage or civil union legislation. So, I mean, I'm going to say, can we still say that Europe is more progressive than we are? Because we'll focus on the little bits where they are progressive and just relay hand wave shit like this. Like same-sex marriage? Buddy, you're in 2015? Good Lord. Like, I am not sophisticated at all, but I feel like I feel a little sophisticated when I hear shit like that. Anyways, how are they still on that? Okay, we move on. Number 2, because you knew it was coming. Global EV sales reached 1.9 million units in October 2025, marking a 23% increase in global sales year to date. This is starting to feel like a weird non-story, because the gist of the story is always, we are selling more EVs than we did last year. And I think that's just going to keep going, but fuck it. I need content. Cumulative global EV sales have surpassed 16.5 million units year to date. That's January to October 2025, accelerating adoption of affordable electric vehicles. The European market led regional growth with a 36% year-on-year increase in October, and China remains a resilient market, 22% year-to-date growth. The rest of the world, I'm putting that in air quotes, showed the highest percentage of increase at 48%, which I think is fucking great. I think that means developing nations, which again, we talked about this before. I think they're just skipping. They're skipping the shitty gas era. They're going straight to EVs, which is great. Like, there's going to be some kid like 20 years from now at his high school reunion talking about how, I remember my first EV. It's going to be them talking about their first internal combustion car. Would be like me saying, I remember when I got my first horse and buggy. Yeah. So the European Commission signed grant agreements for 643 million for 5 battery cell projects from its innovation fund. That's a little tag on, in case you're one of these people who are like, this happens a lot. There's the people who will always find the cloud and the silver lining. So you talk about EV sales and they're like, what about the batteries, buddy? They're working on solid state batteries. Believe that this is not going to be a conversation. I'm going to say 2 years from now. So 2028. 2028, batteries are not going to be a problem. That being said, that I gotta say, I don't know if you're not familiar with what's going on in my country. Speaking of backwards, you know how I was just bragging about being sophisticated? I'm gonna walk that back right now. A big story going on in my country is we're trying to set up an oil pipeline to China. That is that is the best idea of 2010. I really hope we can corner the DVD market. This is insane. Like, so, okay, now I'm rearranging how where we are. Canada, a little more sophisticated than Europe, not more sophisticated than China and the rest of the world. How are we still on this? This is embarrassing. This is crazy. Um, buddy, we can't be doing oil. And what's crazier is Mark Carney, our prime minister, said, yes, yes, definitely, we got to get to renewables, but we can't do that until we get the money from the oil pipeline. Let me tell you a little something. By 2030, EVs are going to outperform internal combustion engines. Already, according to the Renewable Energy Agency, 91% of renewable energy commissioned in 2024 delivered energy at a lower cost than the cheapest fossil fuel. Guys, this shit is over. This shit is over. We cannot be on fossil fuels. We got to get in that game. We have to get in that game. I'm sure I'm sure as soon as Mark Carney's finished listening to this episode, he will rush to write some legislation. Number 1, this one's kind of cool. A new study has successfully identified a completely new way that tumors suppress the immune system, providing new targets for cancer immunotherapy. So researchers discovered a molecular signal, and I just wrote here science stuff. They explain it. If you want, you can Google it, but it was all a bunch of words that I was just going to have problems pronouncing. And that doesn't help me. That doesn't help you. The thing, I'll just break it down. The tumors exploit um, uh, to actively reprogram. Pardon me. So they just look it up. Just look it up. Uh, there's like a signal. This is so much gibberish. I'm not even going to explain it. I'm not even going to give you the broad strokes. But the point is, they have figured out a clever way to target these tumors. This moves science closer to a future where the immune system itself will defeat the tumors, which was the gist and the point and the reason why I wanted to do this story, because I was like, that is fucking crazy. This is great for 2 reasons. One, obviously, brings us a step closer to defeating cancer, which, if you're being honest, you deep down did not think was going to happen in our lifetime, and it fucking might. That's something we got to sit on. I know. You're like, come on, Nile. Come on. But look, hey, I don't know. Look at the news. Tell me if I'm wrong. And then the second thing, I do like the idea of getting to a point where our immune system takes care of cancer. I think that will be, if I see that in my lifetime, that's going to blow my mind. There's already enough stuff that's blowing my mind, but come on. To get to a point where cancer is like the flu, you can't go to work, you call in cancer. You're like, I can't. I got cancer. All right, well, drink plenty of fluids. You notice Jim always gets cancer when like the playoffs roll around. Should I say something? That feels weird. Those are the good news stories for this episode. And now, guys, um, here for you now. We're gonna do it. 20 seconds of good news. So um, I don't know. I had to mess around because, ADHD. I had my list of good news stories. And then I was like, did I mention these in the last episode? So I don't know. Apologies if this is double coverage. Here we go. I was got so tense when we do these. Here we go. China reached peak oil consumption in 2023. Nepal has virtually eliminated extreme poverty. Renewables accounted for 93% of new power capacity in 2024 and also reached 46% of global generating capacity. Emissions in advanced economies fell to a 50-year low in 2024. Solar technology has led... It's always... It always hits me. That's 4. That's 4? My full list was somewhere around 25, and I really thought it was gonna be close. But there you go, 4. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm probably gonna do it again next episode 'cause, guys, I'm bundling these. I'm recording in one sitting. We'll just move on to the next part of the list in the next episode. But for right now, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that helped your day. Please remember to rate and review if you have not already. Made some switches, guys. We're not doing the newsletter anymore. We're just doing buy me a coffee page. There is a free tier. So just if you want, you can sign up. If you want the extra news, you go there. There's a free tier. And here's the thing that I learned. It acts as a newsletter. So I'll just put on the extra news on my buy me a coffee page, buymeacoffee.com/total annihilation, and then click email, and it'll just send you the stuff, which I didn't even know was an option. The reason I did that was because I'm kind of flooded, which you can probably tell by how this podcast went. Uh, and so I'm trying to streamline instead of having a newsletter and a buy me a coffee page. Boom. Now I just have a buy me a coffee page, which does the same thing as a newsletter. So please sign up to the buy me a coffee page. If you got a little cash, feel free to throw it my way. I'd really appreciate it. And if not, free tier for you, my friends. As always, I am on all socials at Nile Segay. I am on the Beaverton podcast if you're into darker news, and my Dungeons and Dragons podcast, the Arrested Development of Dungeons and Dragons podcast. Please, for the love of God, listen to this fucking podcast. It comes out next week. And that is it. Oh, yeah. And if you have any questions or comments, totalannihilation@gmail.com. That is it, guys. If you cannot be a shining example, be a terrifying warning. Let's get it on 3, everybody. 1, 2, 3.